while his powers were drained from constant battle, sending him into space to recharge from the Earth's yellow sun, I struck. But my obsession had blinded me to the real threat, to Earth's true enemy.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Abdul Hakim with the Game Channel Epic Preview Draft 2, Final Draft. And for those of you who know about Draft 1, Draft 1 had me stuttering, lapses, pauses, mumbling, incorrect information, all sorts of problems with it. And basically, if I was on live radio on Saturday Night Live, it will be excusable for me to sound bad and for it not to be, the media not to be really good. But this is pre-recorded. I have all the right equipment. I know how to do the editing. I know how to do the formatting straight. So there's no excuse for the media not to be excellent. And at first I didn't want to go through the trials and the tribulations, the Trail of Tears, the expedition, the pilgrimage, to get all that done. Because it is a lot of hours. For every hour of video that you watch, it's 3 hours of editing at the minimum. And now I've decided I'm going to make it sound as good as possible. If I'm going to create the media, if I'm going to produce completed game videos, then I'm going to make it sound really good. So let's do this again. Draft 2, and this is basically being remastered. And for those who don't know about Draft 1, about the first cut that I erased off the internet, it doesn't apply to you. And don't try to blackmail me with the first cut, because it was just terrible. I'm going to make it sound good. It's a revisionist standpoint. You take a work of art, or you take an effort, and you break it down into its many components and its elements, and you revise it on that certain approach. You take the proximity, the talent, the coherence, the intention, the substance, the image, the research, the guidance, the mission statement, and you just revise it on that certain point. And you take another point, another element, another component, and you revise it through that. And you just don't, unlike taking a work and redoing it just through grammar and saying just because the grammar sounds good, I'm going to leave it alone. But what about the coherence? What about the relevancy? What about the angle? What about the message itself? You could revise it there too. So you just keep on doing it over and over. So whatever it takes. Take 101, take 102. To make it really sound good, I'm going to take it there and make it sound good for you people. Now, what is a completed game video? And what is the game channel of the Radical Revolution TV? A completed game is a game from beginning to end. All of it. With my narration, my voice, telling you something about what's going on. More or less, on average, you're talking maybe 10 to 75 hours for a completed game. Now, if you would take Call of Duty, Legend of Zelda, Battlefield 3, Grand Theft Auto, and play it from beginning to end, you're talking 50 hours or something. Unless you're playing Skyrim, Oblivion, some other RPG, World of Warcraft. Those games take 100 hours plus. DC Universe Online, Star Trek Online, Star Wars, Legends of the Old Republic, I think it's called. That is 100 hours. And you would ask, why would you do that? And not many people would take that approach of taking a video game and making a film that's 100 hours long. There is, in all of film history, film production history, there was one film that's 100 hours long. I don't know, 1900s or 1950s or something, and it's a film about Auschwitz. The town of Auschwitz. It's in black and white and it's 100 hours long. And not many people do that. But in this day and age, it's my style. I want to do it completely. And, I'm going to have my narration over the video game, because otherwise it's going to be lazy. Even if I'm not saying anything that applies to what you're watching on the screen, I'm going to be telling you something. There's a bear in the forest, and that bear stinks. And why does he stink? Because he stinks because he's been in the forest already. Just to say something, just for you to hear the sound of my voice. The narration is a very, very serious, fundamental, elemental part of the video game capture. And it needs to be. So you're going to hear my voice along with Dead Space 2, Mortal Kombat, or whatever it is that you're watching or listening to. And it's just going to be a work of art. All you gamers out there are going to love it. And we're going to make history. I know there are a lot of people who are doing this type of media out on the internet and out on television. And basically, I want to come across unique. I believe every person to be different, so each and every person should look and act differently. No brand names on their clothes, no imitating and emulating anybody else. Whether it's wearing an Exxon, a Hess, or Shell employee outfit, looking like you just got out of, you shop at Walmart, or you shop wherever you shop, you wear jeans, or you wear pajamas out in the summertime. Each and every person should be different. Weakness begets strength, betrayal begets blood, and only the best shall survive, the others shall die, the doubters could leave. May there be no hesitation, may there be no fear. We are united, never separated. We move together, together. Take for example this exhibition. I take charge of this beat.
You are the master, I do as you command.
I'm in control of this beat.
You are the master, I do as you command.
And I manage this beat.
You are the master, I do as you command.
Banded, neglected, forgotten. If there were only one, and there is only one, and it shall be I, and no one by my side. Without support, plus it's hard to find funds. With only one member, with only one supporter, with only one believer, until we're two. And I take charge of this beat.
You are the master, I do as you command.
I'm in control of this beat.
You are the master, I do as you command.
And I manage this beat.
You are the master, I do as you command.
Why so substantial? Why so significant? It does not seem important. In all this junk music, the exclusive strive to be popular, the popular strives to be exclusive. It does not seem so important. With the power of the beat, I can fly and leap tall buildings. With the power of Superman, like a kiss from an angel. Ha ha! I am invincible. And I take charge of this beat.
You are the master, I do as you command.
I'm in control of this beat.
You are the master, I do as you command.
And I manage this beat.
You are the master, I do as you command.
Oops, coffee breath. Please excuse my terrible breath. I gotta brush my teeth. Give me a minute. Okay, the media that we're dealing with is the gamer media field, electronic sports field, the video game field. This particular field, this subject, the topic, the study and practice of video games, it is a field barren, awaiting the sow of innovation and discovery. You want to make a name for yourself, you want to be famous, then get yourself involved in the video game field, where there hasn't been much innovation at all. There haven't been really any big names at all. And it shouldn't be that way. We're dealing with an industry that makes millions of dollars. An industry that most of the population is involved with. Now, the number one video game selling system on Earth is the Wii system from Nintendo. And it sold 68 million units. And it made $8.5 billion in sales. The Xbox is number two, the second best selling video game system. Sold 39 million units with $5 billion in sales. And the PS3, the PlayStation by Sony, has sold 38 million units, making $6 billion in sales. Now, neither of those companies, although they are competing with each other, have anything to complain about at all. All of them are making money out of the wazoo, making money out the ears. And it is just interesting through many different lenses, many different approaches. Economically, politically, sociologically, psychologically. You know, it's just a big pile of money. Come on, guys. It is the Mount Everest, the Olympus Mons of money. Okay, you might think I'm exaggerating, but take for example this fact. World of Warcraft, a very popular MMORPG online, enjoyed by many people who played online games. World of Warcraft, undoubtedly, by anybody's study or analysis or review, has 10 million subscribers worldwide. If you have 10 million people paying $15 a month in subscription fees, you have $150 million a month. 12 months, $1,800,000 a year. And no doubt that with such vast amount of money, that you're going to have imitators like Star Trek Online, DC Universe Online, Star Wars, the Old Republic, Dungeons and Dragons Online, trying to make that same amount of money. Granted, you have to take into consideration the management, technological skills. I mean, World of Warcraft, the network, is also... The World of Warcraft network is one of the most hacked, infiltrated networks in the entire world. There's people hacking that network. There are hackers, and I'm not sure why. It is a phenomenon that is very difficult to explain. I mean, there's not much money involved. They're making a lot of money. Perhaps it's because of the money, or perhaps it's just because it's a fact of life that World of Warcraft has a lot of hackers on that network, and the techies that work at Blizzard Entertainment have to be some of the most ingenious and gifted and talented techies on the face of the world in order to get that network going. And any network, you got University Network, Stock Market Trade, Enterprise Business, Government Network, State Network, all of them, all the servers and the computers are being hacked ridiculously. Each year that goes by, the number of infiltration and breaches into a computer system doubles, and it just gets more and more ridiculous for any computer techie to deal with any type of all these breaches and infiltrations, and it's tedious on both sides. I mean, it's tedious for the techie and it's tedious for the hacker. I mean, the hacker, granted, typical hacker day, you're trying to infiltrate, you're trying to brute force hack somebody's password, and you just keep on trying. For example, you're trying to get into somebody's email address, and you're sitting there for 2 weeks trying to get into this dude's email address so you could shut it down and take away his email, and to do it as a prank or to do it as some kind of mission for yourself. And you spend 2 weeks trying to brute force hack into this guy's email, and you don't get nowhere because it turns out you weren't able to guess the password. The password is too complex and was too complex from the beginning. That's the life of a hacker. I mean, you just do things for weeks on end, for months on end, and never get anywhere. Life of a techie. Life of a techie, you get an infiltration, you get a breach. All of a sudden, your boss comes up to you and says, the computer system is down, there is no internet access, get it working in 10 minutes. Granted, you don't know what the hell happened. It might be the ISP, Internet Service Provider. It might be a software problem. It might be a hardware problem. It might be the computer overheated. You don't know what the hell happened. And you have to troubleshoot. You have to run diagnostics on a million different components in order to find this problem within 10 minutes. And it could be something you can't fix, and it's not something that's your fault. And all of a sudden, you're not able to put up the network in 10 minutes. You have your entire business or your entire campus has lost internet access for more than 24 hours. You're fired. Life of a techie. In the video game field, there are so many different events and experiences and people that go unnoticed and unrealized. It's just ridiculous. It is just a phenomenon. It is the eighth wonder of the world. Why people don't realize this is an important field, an important media, and we are interested in it. Why is it that, people don't know about the StarCraft 2 arena, the Electronic World Cup, Major League Gaming, the Electronic Entertainment Expo? What is it about this gaming media that fires satellite TV, cable television, the PlayStation Network, the Xbox Network, Hulu, Netflix, haven't realized and haven't picked up on the idea that the public loves video games? and there aren't enough channels, and there aren't enough videos. And even if you go search on YouTube, you can't find really the names and the networks and the groups and the gamers who are noticeable. And there's little recognition even on YouTube for video game media. I mean, you got reviews, you have Machinima, and you have Game Informer, and you have GamePro on YouTube, and those are good outlets, but they're not good enough. It's not sufficient enough. Not for the demand. The supply and demand is what I'm talking about. And we did have one channel, the G4 channel. And I know it was available on Cablevision, and it was available on DirecTV, G4. But DirecTV had dropped the G4 channel. Imagine that. G4, their coverage of video games was questionable. Granted, they were still new, and there was talent there. That's where I got my inspiration from. This is where I got the idea for completed video games. The completed game channel. I got it from G4. This is me imitating them. I am their apprentice. I'm emulating them. G4. And the only thing is when they announced to me that they were going to show Oblivion, the video game, complete from beginning to end, I watched, and this was years ago, about 5 years ago. They announced, we're going to show this video game from beginning to end. And I was frantic. And I told my friend, listen, on this channel called G4, this video game channel, we're going to see the Oblivion game from beginning to end. So let's go watch it. And I was all set up, and they showed a half an hour of the game. And a half an hour in, it cut off, no credits, no explanation, and I felt like a fool, sitting there saying that these people were lying to me. And I had decided, they told me they were going to show it, the entire game complete. I'm going to do that. I'm going to show the entire game complete. Even though, granted, Oblivion is 100 hours long, and now, in these days, we got Skyrim. Skyrim is at least 100 hours, and I am attempting, like a fool, to put the entire Skyrim capture from beginning to end. And, it's not going to be just the entire experience. It's going to be the experience through my character. So I'm going to call it Skyrim, The Dead Elf Adventure. Something like that. Because particularly, if you play the game, each experience is different for each player of the game. So it's going to be my capture, and, I'm going to attempt it, because I can't imagine making a game 100 hours long and people watching it. But I'm going to attempt it anyway. Maybe I might hit the Guinness Books of World Record for something ridiculous, because it might even go to like 150 hours long. But, let's try it. But my point is that G4, for example, they did an exposition. They covered the Electronic Entertainment Expo. And it was excellent coverage. I mean, G4, they have this weird thing going on where, as time goes on, they're doing less and less of gaming, and they're doing more wacky stuff like Japanese, like sports shows and car chases, cartoons and stuff like that. Just weird stuff that nobody cares about. It's becoming less and less of a video game channel. It's losing its edge. But simply, you know why this happened? DirecTV dropped G4, and this is referenced by Entertainment Weekly. They were dropped simply because of the Nielsen rating. Due to the Nielsen rating, G4 is being undermined, undercut, and it's being phased out, and they're losing support. But let me tell you about the Nielsen ratings. The phenomenon of the Nielsen rating is just unbelievable. Okay? Statistically, and this is really remedial statistics, this is the most basic statistics. If you look at the structure of the Nielsen ratings, there is no way that small of a population, that little sample, can account for the entire American population. It is not even 1%. And if your ratings, it's just like me going to New York, walking up to one person in New York and asking that person, what is your preference? And that person were to say to me, he's gay, he likes men. And I would automatically assume that everybody in New York was gay, simply because of that one sample. That's what the Nielsen ratings is. It's extremely flawed. And I have to say that this is such a profound phenomenon. The thing about the Nielsen ratings, okay, check this out. About the Nielsen ratings. Basically, the rating system is a measurement of how popular a show is. and how the advertisers and the sponsors of a particular production, how much money they grant to that particular production. And the Nielsen ratings is a tool to decide which shows should be focused on as far as a season 2 and a season 3. So the rating system has to be correct. When there's so much money involved, there's so many jobs, and there's so much attention paid to a particular media, a particular field, it has to be correct. It has to be perfect. And not only is this Nielsen rating incredibly flawed, but it has this profound detrimental effect on the entire field. You ever wondered why, as time goes by, year by year, the programming on the television, on the commercial broadcasting networks, gets worse and worse and worse? Apparently, this season, for the new shows that are coming out, are supposed to be one of the worst ever. You know, you have your 21 Jump Street, 3.5 Men, American Idol, 90210, America's Top Model. You have Malcolm in the Middle, Ghost Hunters, The Bachelor, Survivor. All of these shows are terrible, and none of us are watching it. And this is due, in fact, to the Nielsen rating system. It is this rating system that said that nobody's watching G4, when we know a channel based on video gaming and gaming competition would be more popular than any other channel out there. It is just a no-thinker, no-brainer. It is due to the fact of the Nielsen rating system that Star Trek show was canceled, saying that it was unpopular. And you had a Terminator series as recently it was canceled. Any good show that comes out is basically canceled. And here's the thing. This is... Okay, this goes out to Fox, CBS, NBC, ABC. I feel your pain. And I'm not trying to be this negative bringer of bad news, the harbinger of disaster. Guys, the rating system that you use has always been flawed, and it's flawed now. And you need to fix it, simply because there's millions of dollars dependent, and there's millions of jobs involved in the broadcasting, in your commercial broadcasting. So Fox, CBS, NBC, ABC. Here's my suggestions. This is what I suggest you do. You could patch the cable boxes, patch satellite TV, DirecTV cable boxes, to collect ratings from the different households that have those particular boxes. The ratings from those boxes, the patch boxes, would go to a particular company, a third party, and they could collect ratings and see which shows are actually being watched and which shows aren't being watched. Suggestion 1. Here's suggestion 2. You hire a third party or a company to take surveys and to survey the population to see which shows are popular and which are not popular. Suggestion 3. You measure the transmission signal to the boxes to see which shows are being watched and which are not being watched. And that would be a very expensive thing, to create a device that actually measures the strength of a signal, the regulation, the modulation of a signal, in order to see which particular houses and how many people are watching a particular show. Very difficult, technical, intricate. You'd need a very talented techie scientist, computer scientist, in order to figure that one out. But it would be worth it, because after you're done spending the money on this device that monitors the signal, you have accurate ratings. Suggestion 4. Create websites. More people who visit the websites, the more popular a show is. Okay, as far as commercial broadcasting goes, this day and age, the commercial broadcasting you guys are involved in is terrible. As far as this day and age, personally, I would have a rating system that is accurate down to the single person. For a particular show, a program, if it were me, if I were in charge, we would know how many people watch the show down to the single person, an accurate number. We would know how long that person watched the show. Not only that, with a rating system that is up to date today, you would know what that person's preferences are, what he's most likely to watch next, and what he has watched in the past. A history of that person's show. That'll be my rating system. It'll be flawless, accurate down to the single person rating system. And I think it's inexcusable that in this day and age, you're using this system that's completely flawed. It couldn't be any worse. And with so many jobs and so much money dependent on it. And I think it's a good time now to talk about the future of broadcasting. Fox, CBS, NBC, ABC, YouTube, Netflix, PlayStation Network, Xbox Live, Hulu, all these companies that broadcast. Google Television, Web TV, Sony TV. Never mind about talking about year-to-year sales, intellectual property rights, contracts with a particular production company, Touchstone, Columbia, or whatever. Here's what we need. Within the future of broadcasting, I would be able to turn on the television, and that particular television set is a hybrid TV computer system that is both a computer and a television, operates both on the same line, over a fiber optic cable. Through a particular program, I'm able to talk to other people who are watching, other members of the audience, and I'm also able to interact with the producers and the actors within the show. Able to pause it, of course, able to stop it, rewind it, able to record it, DVR it. I'm able to change the angle on a particular show. You know, that's basically the future of broadcasting. And now this rant, if you people who are listening to me have forgotten, is based on the fact that Nielsen ratings declared that the G4 channel is not popular, which of course it is. The G4 channel, which is a channel that is available to commercial broadcasters, was outcasted simply because of the Nielsen ratings, and the Nielsen ratings is flawed. Don't listen to them. You've been listening to them, and just look at the numbers, okay? It doesn't take a statistical genius to realize that the sample population of the Nielsen rating system is way, way, way too small. And if you have that small of a sample, the numbers that you produce out of that study is not going to be at all reflecting the entire population. Now, if you want to criticize or critique whatever it is that I'm saying, this is what you would say. You would say, Abdul, okay, if you're worried about ratings and you think the sample population is too small, we'll increase the size of the sample population to something that's more accurate. But that's not good enough for me, because I want ratings that are accurate down to the single person. Come on, it's 2012 now, guys. Let's get it together. The question arises, why play video games? Why spend time, money, and effort just to sit there and indulge in excessive entertainment and excessive recreation? The answer is, there is no answer. I mean, it's a waste of time, basically. There's nothing good that comes out of video games. Granted, time and energy is a commodity. You got to think of it as a commodity, and you have to spend it wisely. So, we should stop playing games, people. Pick up a deck of cards, and maybe, at the worst, play poker. Nevertheless, we all were children at one point, and at the arcade, say, at Atlantic City, at the movie theaters, at the mall, entered the arcade, and we saw the machines. We fell in love with Street Fighter, the Mortal Kombat, the racing machines, the Star Wars machines, and we wanted that in our homes. We wanted that entertainment, that entire arcade system to be in our house, so we could just have friends over and just enjoy arcades all the time, 24 hours a day, day and night, 24/7. But that wasn't possible, because the arcade machines, at least for the majority of us, was too expensive. It was out of reach. Hundreds of dollars to rent, thousands of dollars to own, and basically we were out of luck. Until we had the Super Nintendos, the Sega Genesis, the Xbox, the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, the Xbox, and we got to enjoy these arcade systems in our house, in our homes. To date, the processing power and capabilities of the home video game system surpass that of the arcade. And granted, the video game computer is the quickest, most advanced computer out there. Take into consideration the home PC. A typical computer that a person would have just to surf the internet, look up some information. A type of library computer. The home PC is a single core processor, 256 megabytes of RAM, the minimum needed in order to run Windows XP. You have no video card, it's not necessary, 106 gigabytes of hard drive. You could even get away with having an 80 gigabyte hard drive. Then you have a business PC, next level PC with a single core processor, 1 gigabyte of RAM. Still no video card, 160 gigabytes. Then you have yourself a professional PC. Professional PC is for production grade materials. You're an artist, you're into audio engineering, you're making music, making movies. Professional PC, you would need a dual core processor, 2 gigabytes of RAM, a video card with 512 megabytes of RAM, 250 gigabytes of hard drive. The enterprise server. An enterprise server is a server computer that you find on a college campus, you find in a company. The enterprise server will be a dual core, 4 gigabytes of RAM, 500 gigabyte hard drive. A video game computer. In order to have yourself a market value, regular, normal video game computer, more or less you would need a quad core system, 1 gigabyte video card, 1 gigabyte RAM video card, 4 gigabytes of RAM, 500 gigabyte hard drive, HDMI connection, and fiber optics. And perhaps, if you want to overclock the system. Now, overclocking, in order to prove my point even further, only applies to video game computers. There's no need to overclock any other system. Overclocking is when you're hacking into a system and you want to take the motherboard or the video card and you want to reverse engineer it or engineer it to the point where it surpasses the manufacturer's specifications. And personally, I'm not a fan of overclocking, because if you're surpassing the manufacturer's specifications, you're surpassing the manufacturer's warranty and the manufacturer's intention, and then you're putting your computer in danger of overheating and being damaged. So I don't do it personally, but a lot of people do overclock. And the point is that overclocking, you will never hear of overclocking if you're not into video game computers, because nobody wants to surpass their manufacturer's specification for anything else, because it's not necessary for anything else. Which proves the point that video game computers are the pinnacle of all systems out there. Okay. In order to do this video game media, this is more of a composition, behind the scenes type thing now. This video game media was very difficult to do, and I'm not sure why it was so hard to put this all together as far as the tools and the equipment necessary to do this. I woke up one day with this delusional, deranged urge. I had this need to capture all my video games for the internet. I'm playing the video game, I have my PlayStation, and everything that I do, the Call of Duty, the DC Universe Online, the Skyrim, I wanted people to see what I was doing, and I wanted to be narrating it, and I wanted to tell people what I thought about the video game, and I wanted to post it to the internet, and I wanted to make gaming movies, and I just needed to do this. And it wasn't such a big deal at first, I believed, because I would just get myself a video capture card, connect it to the back of my PC, connect the PlayStation to my PC, and from the PC to the TV, and that's it. A high definition video capture card. Granted, I did not want standard definition. Now, for those of you who don't know, or into video or into production, low definition is pretty much low definition you find on YouTube and on camera phones. The camera phones be like 320 by 240 lines of resolution. Standard definition is 640 by 480 lines of resolution. Then you have your high definition, 720 by 1280 lines of resolution. Then you have, high definition 1280 by 1080 lines of resolution, and Blu-ray definition is 1440 by 1080 lines of resolution. A tip for people who don't know that: what's the difference between high definition and Blu-ray definition? It is just 1280 by 1080 lines of resolution, 1440 by 1080 lines of resolution, and that's high definition and Blu-ray definition. That's the only difference. I wanted to capture in high definition. I am capturing in Blu-ray definition. You know, that's the equipment that I have here. I could put all of my movies into Blu-ray, which is cool. But it was such a crucifixion, trail of tears, pilgrimage, just to get there. Because I went to Staples, went to Best Buy, looked on the internet, Amazon.com, Geeks.com, and it appeared no one really had a high definition capture card. And it didn't make any sense to me. Because shouldn't you be able to buy a high definition capture card, which HDMI input, DVI input, RCA component cable input, anywhere you go? I mean, you should just walk into your regular techie store. And I was going frantic. I was going from store to store, from here to there, and it was nowhere to be found. It got to the point I was planning to pay $100 for this device and hook it up to my PlayStation. In the end, I ended up paying maybe $550 for the entire setup. And that's because I got frustrated and I took all my money and just spent it on whatever first came available. And, it was worth it. And granted, it was difficult for me to find the right equipment and the right tools in order to capture the gaming. That makes it all the much more difficult for anybody else out there who wants to make the same type of thing. If you don't have the money and you don't have the equipment, you're not able to put up with the frustration. It's better for me because less competition. Whatever. There's the very popular Dazzle, which I think is crap, and it breaks the Hava HD. That's the Blackmagic capture card. Blackmagic is popular, but it's not as popular as it needs to be. There's very few Blackmagic capture cards high definition around. But what I fell in love, a really awesome device out there, the Hopeg HD PVR, is an incredible, beautiful device. Captures excellent. The resolution is excellent. The way it works is excellent. And granted, in order to use it, you need an HD TV. And I was planning to buy a new monitor anyway. And an HD TV is a computer monitor that has RCA component cable connections to it. You could either get yourself an HD TV, or you could get yourself a computer monitor with RCA component cable connection to it. Either way, I think it's the same thing. You're good. I built my computer from PriceWatch.com, parts from PriceWatch.com. It's a quad-core computer with 500 gigabytes of RAM. It has an HDMI connection. The motherboard is an M4 A785-M. I used to have 6 gigabytes of RAM, but the RAM burnt out, and now I only have 4 gigabytes. I'm looking for the right RAM to upgrade it again, get it back to 6. I had to buy a video card for it in order to play Skyrim. And granted, it was surprising to me when I wanted to play PC games and capture PC, how much I had to go through to get Skyrim. And in order to PC capture, if you want to capture your World of Warcraft, Crysis 2, and you want to capture your Skyrim, it is another trail of tears. What you have with your PC capture, and there's a fundamental, universal problem that all gamers have with PC capture, is a gamer would have the tendency to capture their video game on the same system which they are playing. Okay? So in other words, on the same motherboard, on the same computer that you're playing your video game, is the same motherboard and same computer that you're using the software to capture your video games, which is not a good idea. What would be the better idea is to outsource the capturing process on a separate computer. Let's say that you have the software installed on your laptop, capturing from your PC desktop, simply because the laptop doesn't have the RAM capability and processing capability of a PC. And the PC is a video game system, remember, and you need ridiculous specifications in order to play video games. So most better video games won't play on the laptop at all. So you have your game running on your PC desktop, outsourced to your laptop, which is doing the capture. Now the capture of the video game from the PC is outsourced to a separate PC or laptop, and you can see how that balances out. And to date, at this moment in time, I haven't figured out how to do that. It doesn't seem like such a difficult project, especially when it's very easy to reverse engineer. And Jimmy rig computer parts. And granted, what you would need to do is you'd need to, of course, you would want to capture in Blu-ray definition, high definition, HDMI, DVI, RCA component out to a capture device that accepts the same type of input into the separate PC and capture in high definition. And you would imagine, it doesn't need to be explained, why Blu-ray capture, high definition capture, takes up a lot of processing power, and at the same time it'll take an excessive amount of processing power for the video game. And the video game takes up excessive processing power. To the point, in other words, another way to explain it is you're playing your favorite game, World of Warcraft, Crysis, Skyrim, and imagine if you were playing that game and at the same time you're editing a photo in Photoshop or working with video in Sony Vegas or Pinnacle, and you're working with that software at the same time to playing a video game. I mean, the computer is bound to crash because it's running two different processes, excessive processes at the same time. So I'm stuck with Fraps, Fraps, and if you capture video game through your PC, you're familiar with Fraps. I hold some resentment simply because it's a process that takes place in the same computer that I'm playing the video game on. Yet it's unavoidable for now because I can't figure out how to do the outsourcing trick as of yet. I can't find the hardware and the software to do that. So hopefully I figure it out in the future, and when I do figure it out, I am going to make a big deal out about it, because if I'm having trouble with it, most people are having trouble with it. PC capture and the fact that video game PCs take up so much excessive power is ridiculous. If you're into PC gaming, what you're looking to have and what you would need is a dual-core processor, 4 gigabytes of RAM, 512 megabyte video card minimum, HDMI, DVI minimum. Now you're going out in the market and you got yourself a single core computer and you don't have yourself a video. Do that first, because you're gonna get frustrated. I mean, you're gonna buy video games and then you're gonna try to install them on your PC, and you're gonna find out that you can't play them simply because you don't meet the minimum requirements. And you don't have to take my word for it. Just check the back of the box for the game you're buying. And one trick that is good is your PC, is your computer able to play Crysis 2. Crysis 2 is a popular game out there for everybody. And the requirements for this particular game are ridiculous. And you'll see some people on YouTube, on Facebook, they show off that they could play Crysis 2 at the maximum settings. And they show this off simply because it is a big deal to play that game at the maximum settings. Because to play that game at the maximum settings, you would have to have yourself something like a 2 gigabyte video card, maybe overclocked, with a quad-core processor at least, or sorts of things. So if you want to, play around with who has the best PC and who doesn't, you would want to look around for Crysis 2 maximum settings. And who's ever doing that is pretty much have their game maxed out. I mean, there are not all PC games are bad. I mean, there are good PC games. Star Wars, The Old Republic, DC Universe Online, Dungeons and Dragons Online, StarCraft 2, World of Warcraft are all excellent games that play on most computers. They play on your laptop. And, a lot of games don't play on the laptop, simply because the laptop is limited to what it can do because everything is embedded and miniaturized. You know, you can have an embedded video card on your laptop and on your desktop computer, but it's not going to be able to play the more advanced PC games. You need to have a video card, and you can't have a video card on your laptop. It have to be embedded, and whatever you're stuck with, whatever you have there, is what you have. So that's why, you know, a lot of PC games can't play on the laptop. They'd have to play on the desktop. But these games, StarCraft, World of Warcraft, DC Universe Online, Star Trek Online, they can play on the laptop. They play on most machines. You don't have to worry about them. But a lot of times, if you're getting serious about it, you're talking about all types of upgrades and ridiculousness as far as minimum requirements, specifications. So in conclusion, we're not sure where exactly video game media is going to go. It is stuck in a limbo right now. You know, just because the commercial media field is so mixed up and so out of date, we kind of look towards the internet. With the internet, it's more chaotic, and we really don't know where the references and the resources are. For example, you know, one of the better resources we got at GameInformer.com. We got Machinima, the Major League Gaming, Electronic Sports World Cup. We got a lot of events for some reason going on in France and Europe. Yet, I go out to people who are gamers, and I ask them who is the best Call of Duty player, who won the Winter Cup and the StarCraft 2. Where are the better gaming competitions? When are they better gaming competitions? A lot of people out there, they would just tell me about the Electronics Entertainment Expo, and that is the limit of the events and experiences and the notable people that are involved in the field. So, what are we doing, guys? We're sitting at home, you know, and we network and we mingle amongst ourselves on the multiplayer chat rooms, and we don't talk to one another outside our rooms. Is that it? I mean, it's no recognition for somebody who's really talented in gaming. You know what another problem is, and I have to mention it. We have World Cups for Call of Duty, Battlefield 3, StarCraft 2, World of Warcraft competitions. We have these cups. And these people who organize this, the facilitators, don't have enough sense to make a movie out of it and to cover their events. You know, there is no press package going out to the press in order for them to have press coverage. And there's so much demand for this entertainment, for this field. And it seems like sometimes when you have these conferences, that there's nobody covering the conferences, you know? And if there were somebody covering these conferences and these events and these gaming competitions, it'll be such a demand for that media, you know? And screw the Nielsen rating. You're underplaying and undermining G4 channel. You know, the one thing that gamers got, the G4 channel, and along comes these flawed Nielsen ratings. I mean, screw them too. Seriously. But yet, it puts us in a place where, you know, there's power there, there's a demand there, and we have the supply, and there's the personnel, and, you know, there's the talent, and there's the energy, and there's the effort. I mean, we really don't know where it's all gonna go. Granted, all it takes is one bright bulb amongst the population to figure that if you're gonna have some competition, and you're gonna have a gaming event, to have it exposed, to have some kind of media coverage so people can enjoy it, because we want to see that. We want to see who wins these competitions. And it doesn't take much to get together and have somebody film and have people get together in order to make some coverage and reviews and narrations along with the completed game series, and network and mingle more amongst ourselves and make it better. So let's get to work, guys.